The biggest thing, though, I mean, I've worked with LD a bit. We've done a couple of sessions with like camera control and looking at like what makes good camera control and what makes bad camera control. The big There were two kind of turning points for me, and the first one was realizing that catching a kill isn't enough. It's not seeing the body hit the deck that matters, but it's catching the setup.
Mm.
So that was a big just shift in my, like, I was more like, oh, he's taking damage, that's when I want to start looking at that area. It's like, no, when you see somebody making a movement on the minimap in enemy territory, that's when you want to see it. You want to see the setup, you want to see where they were in the trees, how this kill started. That's what's important. Was the person that died too far forward? Was this a gank that's unavoidable because a blink dagger was revealed? Those are the kind of details you want to find with the camera control. The person actually dying is not really that important. So that was just a big change in mindset where I was like, oh, I caught that kill. And it's like, well, technically you did, but you didn't catch anything of substance. And then the other, which really just takes practice, is team fights. And when you have a team fight that spans one big area, I had this reflex of just like, team fight breaks out, just zoom out. There's no way you're missing kills if you just zoom out. But I think it decreases the hype. Like my goal is to stay zoomed in as much as possible and use the zoom out very sparingly, because you don't want to overdo it. And it does kind of take away from like the intensity of the action when somebody dies and you're too far away. Some fights, it's absolutely perfect. It's really good for like the setup around Roshan when you can see how they're positioning. Then when the fight breaks out, you zoom in right on the action. But for me, it was just LD. One of the other lines that kind of clicked for me was like, the key is follow the initiators. Think about, how is this fight going to start? Is it a clockwork hook shot? Is it a storm zip in? And think about how this fight might start. Who are the key heroes to get it started? And focus on that hero first, because they're going to be the ones that initiate. They're the initiators. So focus on that and then go from there. If you start the fight with, oh crap, how did this start? And you're already panicking, that's how you're going to keep missing stuff. And once you start to panic, that's when you're missing more things happening on the screen when you're trying to do play-by-play, and the whole thing starts to snowball out of control. So to try to follow the initiators, and then once a fight breaks out, trying to identify what's the thing that I want to catch here, because you can't call out all the action at once. If there's 3 people killing each other, or 3 different little skirmishes, little battles, you got to try to figure out which one's most important. Part of it is gauging who's going to die first, so you can just catch the order of kills. And some of it is gauging who are the key heroes. If the 2 carries are fighting, fuck the 2 supports that are fighting over in the mid lane. That doesn't really matter. You want to see, if Burning dies here, he doesn't have buyback, they push for the win. That's the kill that you want to see, because that's going to be the make it or break it. So it was really those 2 things of who to follow in team fights and how to catch action that leads up. And once I kind of had those 2 things in my brain, it's just a matter of practice and just getting better at doing it. And the last tip that LD gave me that really improved was just always be moving. Don't stay stationary. Don't lock on one hero, but just get in the habit of moving around. And the 4th thing, I've got this, the last one for sure.
That's
the 4th
fine,
thing, listen to your damn co-caster. There's nothing more frustrating when your co-caster is talking about Spectre and his item build, talking about his skill set, and you're moused over on Juggernaut in the other lane, just in your own world, just like, yeah, he's talking about something, but I'm looking at whatever I want. You're controlling the camera, so you should be like, it's easy when you're talking because you're controlling it. So whatever you're looking at is what you're talking about. But when your co-caster's talking, even like if they're missing something, then you can interrupt them, point it out, draw on the minimap. But if they're talking about a ward, go to the ward, circle it. If they're talking about a hero with a weird item build, go to the item build. If they're talking about that hero's BKB, mouse over it and see what the duration is. Tell the story with the camera. You have a lot of control with the camera. It's not always just about catching kills. There's a lot of other nuances that you can. It's a very, very high skill cap thing. It's been a fun challenge, and I actually feel confident doing camera for one of the first times in my career. I remember in Starlighter when Dakota had to cast, he would say just like, all right, I did camera last time, and I was just like, dude, I'm happy to do it. Like, I don't even mind. I'm glad to do the camera. I think it's kind of fun now that I've kind of got the hang of it. But it takes specific, like casting is something that you can, there's a degree of just raw hours on the mic. You have to get out those jitters, just get practice talking out loud. For camera, it's not just about raw practicing. It's practicing with a purpose. It's doing it and then having those little tips that I talked about in your back burner. Like, okay, I want to catch the setup, not just the kill. If you're just kind of moving the camera around, just like, yeah, I'll just keep getting better. It doesn't, you need to have kind of a focused strategy to improve. It's not something that just kind of comes naturally, I don't think.
I think that was actually a really helpful summary of play-by-play. And I think that a lot of times...
So. That was very long-winded, sorry.
Well, no, but it was good. It was things that you don't think about. I think a lot of times we talk about casters, and we don't talk about the dedicated cameraman. We tend not to talk... We get mad when someone misses a kill, but that's about all we say about camera people. And I think we underestimate how difficult it is, especially if you don't have dedicated camera, to call a play-by-play that you're watching on the screen but still keep an eye on the mini map to look for gank setups and rotations and item builds and vision. And it's a lot to do. And